Hi there, my name is Nate Tarrant, and this is my interview for the Faye W. Whitney School of Nursing at the University of Wyoming. Question 1. Describe a meaningful experience or a difficult situation related to a course, an extracurricular activity, or in your personal life. Discuss how this experience exemplifies your ambition and enthusiasm for learning. So a really meaningful experience for me actually was very recently. 2 months ago, my wife gave birth to our daughter, Heidi, and it was the most amazing experience of my life. And it's forever changed my perspective of the world. I got to see all of the labor and delivery nurses working together as a team to help my daughter enter the world. And it really reminded me of why I want to be a nurse. The selflessness of these nurses, as well as their knowledge, made us feel so much more comfortable with the whole birthing process. And you could just tell that they were passionate about what they were doing. Being in the medical field, I was super interested in being involved in the delivery process. And so not only did I get to cut the cord for my wife when she gave birth, but I got to be the first person who my daughter saw when she entered the world, and I actually got to catch her when she came out. And that was hands down the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Finding out that we were having a daughter, I really wanted to be a good role model for her. I really want to show her that through hard work and through dedication to pursuing something you're passionate about, you can achieve anything. And for me, she's already, like I said, she's already changed the perspective that I have of the world. Being a nurse is a really hard career, but it can be a very rewarding career, and it's something that you can do, for your entire life, and you can take it so many different avenues, so many different routes, and so, for me, I want to be someone who she can look up to, someone who, she can see that I put in this hard work and I got a rewarding career that I love out of it. Since we found out that we were having her as well, I've been pursuing my prerequisites for the School of Nursing, and I've excelled and gotten all A's in all of my courses, and it's really helped me to focus, and it's just given me a newfound motivation to do well in my courses and my classwork, and in all aspects of my life that I never have before. So, question 2, why is nursing the profession for you? And how do your personal values align with professional nursing values? So I haven't always known that I wanted to be a nurse. I have my first degree in health and exercise science, but I wasn't always sure that I wanted to be a nurse necessarily. However, I have always known that working with and taking care of people is what I am supposed to do for a living. That has always been something that I've known. Through working in multiple different emergency rooms in a couple of different states across the country, multiple different level 1 trauma centers. I've worked with so many different nurses, and I've really just picked their brains and asked them what it takes and what it means to be a good nurse. For me, I've always tried to approach patient care as how I would want my family member to be treated in a situation. When people come to the emergency room, they're often having the worst day of their life. And so for us to be able to be calm, be compassionate, respectful, and understanding of this person's situation, it really will help us to provide the best level of care that we can. And that takes a certain level of selflessness and a commitment to being a lifelong learner. And that's kind of what a degree in a career in nursing would mean is, you're constantly learning, you're constantly changing, just as the medical field is constantly changing. And that requires a level of commitment that, I believe through my coursework and just through my work experience, I've demonstrated and will continue to demonstrate as I become a nurse in the future. As currently working in the emergency room, and as I have in the last few years, you're constantly having to work on continuing education credits and recertifications, and a degree in a career in nursing is only going to require more of that. So in a field like the medical field, you need to constantly be adapting, constantly changing to all situations, and taking new evidence-based practice models and applying those to your own job and own careers and how you approach the job. So I think that those are kind of the skills that I demonstrate in my personal life that would benefit me in a career for nursing. Question 3. The field of nursing consists of working with healthcare team members from a diversity of backgrounds and experiences. Describe a time when you worked as part of a highly diverse team. How did diversity enhance the functioning of that team? So diversity can mean a whole bunch of different things. It can mean different cultural backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, different locations from where you are in the country. It can mean different religious values. And so people born in who are older, people who are younger have a diversity of opinions and a diversity of what makes them different. So working in the ER, I've experienced working with a diverse group of people on a daily basis. One experience for me was working at Oregon Health and Science University's emergency department. It really taught me the value of diversity. Working in an inner city hospital in Portland, I got to see people from many different cultural backgrounds than myself. Having spent most of my life in Colorado, I hadn't necessarily been exposed to a lot of different cultures that I got to experience when I worked in the Pacific Northwest. I learned that different perspectives and how I can apply those to patients that I take care of on a daily basis. A lot of times working in the ER, people will come in who English isn't their first language, and you have to be willing to understand that they're going to have different cultural values, different norms, that you have to kind of put yourself in their shoes and understand that they might not want care in the same way that you would approach someone who is a typical patient of yours who comes in. And so really being able to understand people's different perspectives is what I learned through that experience. As well as working in the ER, specifically at OHSU, there's a lot of different travel nurses, people who are from all different places of not only the country but of the world. And really what that helped me to understand is that there's different perspectives, there's different healthcare models, there's different healthcare systems, and different patient populations that everyone's experiences add value to the team. And that's ultimately what we're all doing. We're working as a team, we're working together to help give patients the best level of care and the best outcome. The people that I've worked with, for some of them, it was, their second career. For some of them, it was, what they always knew they wanted to do their entire life. And for others, this is a stepping stone. Nursing for them was a stepping stone to become a nurse practitioner or go on to, secondary nursing school, whether that's CRNA school or what have you, different specialties. And really being able to work with those different people's perspectives, that's what made me passionate about nursing. It was just seeing all these different places that you can take it. If you don't like, working on a specific floor or specific unit, you can work on a different floor. You can work on a different unit. You can go back to school. And, as someone who's interested in being a lifelong learner, this opportunity to go to the Faye W. Whitney School of Nursing is just hands down a dream of mine. And ultimately, it's the next step in my clinical process and my journey as a medical professional. Question 4. Describe a time when you did not agree with a decision made by a boss, parent, teacher, or coach. How did you approach this, and what was the outcome? So when I first started working at Trader Joe's would be an experience where I felt like I disagreed with a boss of mine. For me, I was 21 years old when I started working at Trader Joe's, so I was still in my first, working on my first degree at Colorado State University. And when I sat down for a review cycle with my boss, he pulled me aside, and we sat down, and he went through everything that I'd been feedback I'd received throughout the 6-month period, and essentially what he told me was if I had continued down my current course of action, that I would be terminated as an employee at Trader Joe's. And this really spoke to me. This really kind of took me aback, and I was really kind of hurt by this, because I had felt like I was performing all the necessary functions of the job. I was showing up on time, I was clocking in, I was performing the tasks required of me. And for me, this wasn't something that I was considering as a career. This was something I was working at, a place I was working at while I was going to school. But for me, I took this advice and saw it as an opportunity to change. While I was taken aback by it, and while I could have taken it as, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about, this guy is just saying this, like he doesn't mean it. Instead, I really took this opportunity seriously as an opportunity for me to grow and really reflect on myself. And so with that advice being provided to me, I started working more morning shifts, which morning shifts were traditionally reserved for veterans or people who did determine that this was going to be the career choice for them. And I decided, I'd become an order writer for a section. This was something that, although I was going to school, it was going to be requiring more of myself, putting more on my plate. But I saw this as an opportunity for me to grow and ultimately, prove myself that I was capable of putting more work on my plate and being responsible for something that was kind of bigger than myself. And ultimately, that ended up putting me in a position to become a section leader. And as a section leader, I was in charge of the dairy section of the store. So, I got to oversee all of the ordering, all of the maintenance, all of the kind of ins and outs and ordering of the dairy section on a daily basis. And what that really taught me was the value of leadership and how to delegate tasks to other people who I worked with. And ultimately, 2 review cycles later, I ended up receiving a bonus for my hard work, as well as becoming one of the top 2 employees of the store for the year. And what that really showed me was just the value of hard work, and that you can kind of take a negative and turn it around and spin it into a positive. And while I didn't necessarily agree with my boss the moment I received that feedback, I ultimately turned it around and viewed it as an opportunity for me to grow. Question 5. In life, we are faced with situations where we do not feel a strong sense of confidence and we question our own abilities. As a nurse, you will be faced with such situations. Describe a time when you were faced with a situation that challenged your confidence and sense of assurance. So for me, I'd say the first time that I really had to do CPR on someone was one of the more meaningful experiences, not only of my career, but of my life. I remember it vividly to this day. I was working at Memorial Central Hospital in Colorado Springs, and I was working with a nurse who we'll call Z. And all I can say is nothing can prepare you for the first time that you do CPR on an actual person. I had done countless classes for CPR recertifications where I worked on mannequins that provided feedback for how deep my chest compressions were, how deep my recoil was, making sure that I was doing it at a proper pace. But nothing can really prepare you for what it feels like to do it on an actual person. This was someone who was someone's loved one. This is someone who has a family, that's someone's son, and this is someone's, potential loved one. And this was what was going through my mind when I knew that I was going to be doing CPR on this individual who was coming in. Nothing can prepare you for how sweaty a patient's chest is, what it feels like to really push down on someone's internal organs. They can tell you that, people typically go too fast when they do chest compressions for their first time. that sometimes, if it's an older individual, their ribs will crack and you'll feel that sensation. And all of this was going through my mind before I had even started. But when it was my opportunity to do chest compressions, I jumped on it and I performed them to the best of my ability. It was, everything that I had worked on, every class that I had taken, every CPR recertification course, all of that experience and all of that knowledge kind of just came in as instant muscle memory. And in this situation, I just did everything to the best of my ability. Ultimately, this patient didn't end up making it, and that was also happened to be one of the first opportunities and first experiences that I had seeing a patient expire. And this was a really hard thing for me to deal with in the moment. I questioned whether this was the field and this was the career that I really wanted to pursue because of it. And I sat for a while afterwards, just kind of gathering my thoughts, and I ended up being pulled aside by the nurse Z, who I worked with, and they just reassured me that what I had done was enough, that I had done everything to the best of my ability, that I'd performed chest compressions well with great rate, great recoil off of the chest, great depth. And, ultimately, that's what we do in the medical field. We do our best with a good attitude and what we can do. But at the end of the day, we're still human, and things happen, unfortunately, in life that, well, it's hard to see situations like that. It's ultimately made me a better healthcare provider. It's made me realize that all we can do is our best. And working in the medical field, you work with great people, you work with great teams, and that's something where I've always known I've wanted to work on as a team. I grew up playing team sports, and I know we know what it means to come together to perform something to the best of our abilities, and that's all we can do at the end of the day, and to not beat ourselves up for it. This was something that was completely new, completely foreign to me, but this situation was one of the situations that really defined my career, and me wanting to pursue a career in nursing was just knowing that I can make a difference and I can make an impact on someone's life. I know that this is the career for me. So thank you for the opportunity to listen to me for this interview today. And I look forward to hearing back.